Hey guys. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in to Keys to Maryland. This is our first segment of our monthly Keys to Maryland Lunch and Learns and I'm excited you guys are here. Let me just give you guys a little background. So these lunch and learns started on Instagram Live. I used to go live every other Wednesday or so. And I decided that this year, 2026, we're going to do things a little bit differently. I want to open up the platform beyond my sphere circle. Just to really get the information out there. So we are now meeting here on Zoom every second Wednesday, and you can register through Eventbrite. um, I do have a flyer on my Instagram page. The link is also in the bio. At That's So Shayna, if you guys want to go ahead and find the link to register for the upcoming ones. So today's segment, I want to kick off with some market updates just to let you guys know what's going on in real estate here in Maryland. So, first, let me just say, Maryland is made up of a whole bunch of markets. It's not just one market. So, here we're specifically talking about the DC metro area, PG County, Montgomery County, Howard County, Frederick County, Charles County, Calvert County, Anne Arundel County. And then we're also talking about the greater Baltimore area and surrounding areas. So 2026 is going to be your year for strategy. We're not going to be focusing on predictions of the market. Um, I know you hear a lot, oh, the market's on the way to a crash. It's not, guys. The market is not going to crash. It's probably never going to crash anytime soon, how it did in the past. And so we want to just focus on positioning and making sure that we are fully prepared to hop in the market at any time when we are financially ready. So, at a glance in Maryland, the inventory has increased. With that being said, buyers are also shopping more cautiously and they are looking to be more prepared. So they're getting educated, they're talking to the right people, they're really making a plan on how to acquire real estate, whether it's their home or an investment property, to make sure that their properties are generating the wealth that they want in the long term. In the DC metro area, we are seeing that since inventory has increased, properties are tending to sit a little bit longer on the market, and this is just due to competition. After the recent government shutdown, we're starting to see sellers who were tied to the federal employment, they're starting to get back more active because now they're back to work and they're really thinking about, is now a good time to sell? Should I be downsizing? Should I be investing in more properties? In case something was to happen to my job again, how is my current situation going to be sustainable? Also, I just want to say prices in the DC metro area, they are not dropping, but they are starting to increase more moderately. So, whereas we were seeing how home prices jump and skyrocket, we're not seeing that so much anymore. And this is mostly due to the inventory increase, more competition. So, one thing I do want to touch on is that in PG County, they have recently increased their down payment assistance program from up to $25,000 to up to $50,000. So, I want to also just explain to you guys what this means for buyers. First and foremost, yes, there's more money out there for you to put towards your closing costs, your down payment, and so forth. Now, the Pathway to Purchase program, if you've watched my previous video where I talked about down payment assistance, this is not a program that you just apply for and get approved for. This program, you have to be actively under contract to purchase a home. You have to be a first-time home buyer. You have to be working with a lender who is also approved for the Pathway to Purchase program. And so, with these requirements, after you're under contract, your lender then submits your offer and your approval to the program. And from there, they let you know if you are eligible for any funds from them. So you do have to already be in a position to purchase a home before you go about seeing if you can apply or be approved for Pathway to Purchase. Now, yes, a $50,000 pool, yes, you want to hop in there if you can. So it's just good to know that it's out there. And I'm so glad that there's so many more initiatives to help new homeowners acquire the property. In the greater Baltimore area, I would say that the buyer demand is pretty steady. There's no like dips so far. The market is just continuing to move. Mid-range homes remain competitive. Investors are very, very active. You're starting to see a lot of flips. You're starting to see just a lot of improvements being done in the housing out here, and most of that is because the rental market is so high. So if you're looking to invest in real estate, or if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you are looking to rent and you want to rent something a little bit more updated, Baltimore is becoming the market for that because investors have been so heavily hands-on. And the affordability in Baltimore keeps the market resilient. Now, the difference between the greater Baltimore area and the DC metro area is, for example, with the federal employment, that is less of a concern out here, which is why the market out here has been able to remain steady. And like I mentioned before, it has a strong rental and first-time home buyer presence. And that's the main difference. Both markets are very lucrative and they have great homes if you're looking to plant roots, great communities. So where you buy in Maryland is really what matters more than when, depending on your needs and your wants and your goals. Here's what to expect in 2026. There are some interest rate adjustments. Currently, 30-year fixed rate mortgages are mostly in the high 5% range, and it may continue to trend down lower than in 2025, but I wouldn't expect a huge dip. We are starting to see a return of paused buyers, like I said, with everything that happened in 2025 politically, community-wise. After going back and really preparing themselves, we're starting to see buyers say, okay, now is the time. I'm ready to get active in the real estate market. And that's again, whether you're trying to be a first-time home buyer or you're trying to acquire investment properties. I would also expect to see a lot of seller price corrections. Now, I'm not saying that home prices are going to drop, but those properties that you see sitting on the market for a while, sellers are going to start coming down because they do want to sell their property. What I can say is that 2026 is not asking if you can buy or sell, it's asking how prepared are you to buy or sell? And so if you're sitting here on this Zoom right now, or you're tuning in later on to the recording, you're in the perfect place to get educated on how to prepare yourself to purchase a home. Our first segment's topic today is building your financial home. So let's look at exactly what that looks like to be a prepared buyer. I do want to ask that you save all of your questions to the end. We'll have some time to do a Q&A when we wrap up. And so if you don't want to forget your question, feel free to write it down or drop it in the comments and I'll come back to it later. Like I did mention, this is being recorded. So whatever questions we don't get to now, it may be answered again later in the recording, which I will be sending out, and I will let you guys know exactly how you can review it at the end. As your legacy curator, it's important for my clients and friends, community, everybody to look at purchasing real estate beyond just having a house to live in. I want you to look at it as a wealth building tool. I want you to think about life beyond the purchase. And the way to do that is to start with a good foundation, which is why our topic today is building your financial home. Why financial readiness comes first? Well, first and foremost, a mortgage approval only tells you what a lender will allow, not what your life can afford comfortably. That's where your debt to income ratios come into play. You might have good credit, you might have good income, but your financial lifestyle, maybe you're living above your means, maybe you're living under your means, maybe you're living at your means, which is great. None of those things are necessarily bad. You just want to make sure that you can afford your lifestyle and keep this home. And many homeowners feel stressed after closing because preparation stopped at approval. And that's not what I want for you guys. I want you guys to start thinking beyond just purchasing a home and saying you did it. You want to be able to say, I purchased a home and I kept it, and I paid my mortgage on time, and I can buy more real estate, and I can take out equity in this house, whatever the case is. Financial readiness protects your peace, not just your purchase. So when we think about the financial home, we're really going to start at the roots. We're going to start at the foundation, which is your credit and your cash. And then we're going to move up to the framework, which is your income, your debt, and your lifestyle. And then we're going to hit the roof, which is your protection and your planning. When it comes to your credit score, the foundation, it's only a snapshot. Lenders review your full credit. The score tells us the score gives us a general overview, but what we do is we dive deep into your history. We dive deep into bankruptcies. We dive deep into foreclosures. We dive deep into maybe you were a renter and you were evicted. We're going to see all of that. Any accounts that you have that are delinquent or just your habits. We want to see what your habits are to make sure that you can maintain this mortgage. We also look at your cash reserves to protect you when life happens. So, like when you need home repairs or your job changes or other emergencies that come up, if you need to, do you have a savings to help sustain the unplanned moments of life? All right, so here's our first reality check. And this is just things that I want you to keep in mind as you continue along this journey of getting ready to purchase. Being approved does not mean you're financially ready. Thin credit or high balances can limit options and increase costs. Draining your savings to buy a home creates stress immediately after move-in. Because if you think about it, when you move in, if you drain your savings, where's your furniture going to come from? What about, so maybe you're not paying mortgage the first month, but you will be paying it the next month. Do you have a cushion? Your utilities, you are going to have to start paying that. Do you have something to fall back on immediately after moving? As we start to move up from the root of it all, your credit and your income, you want to start thinking about the framework. Lenders like myself want to see that you're stable and you have a predictable income. Your debt to income ratio, like I mentioned before, it measures how much of your income is already committed and how much of your income can you now allocate to this new mortgage that you're going to have. We don't want to see you struggle. It goes beyond just saying, oh, we're not going to get our money. It goes way beyond that. I'm not here to see you struggle. Your lifestyle doesn't pause after closing because you still have groceries, you still have childcare, and you still have travel and leisure to help keep you sane. So we don't want you giving up things like that. We just want to make sure that you can fit it all into the lifestyle that you're already living. Okay, here's our next reality check. Maximum approval often leads to financial strain. Now I want to explain that. Just because you are approved for a $500,000 home does not mean that you have to purchase a $500,000 home. It is okay to shop below your approval. And that just goes into preparing for the future. Interest rates don't fix overbuying. Sustainable payments allow flexibility, savings, and peace. Just some things to keep in mind. Okay, so now we're on to the roof. This is your protection. So savings after closings to give you breathing room, like we've been talking about. So if you're thinking about your frame, we went from our roots, the foundation, we went to the framework. Now you have the home, it's all nice and pretty. And then the roof on top, that's your protection, that's your savings, that's your insurance. The insurance is there to protect what you're building. We also want you to be planning for maintenance, taxes, and HOA fees just to prevent surprises. If you plan ahead, then what is it? If you get ready, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. There you go. Here are some common mistakes that collapse the home. So using every single dollar to close leaves you no margin. So just like I said, emptying out your savings in order to purchase a home. Ignoring post-purchase costs creates monthly stress. So that's when you're thinking about, again, your HOA fees, your utilities, furnishing the home, anything else that may go into it. And buying emotionally without a financial plan leads to regret. So what happens a lot of times is people are like, oh, I need a house. I need a house. Okay, I'm approved. I have to do this. But they don't necessarily consider what having this house, and maybe it's your dream house. Maybe you walked into a house and it's everything that you feel like you want. but it's so much more than you need right now. That's buying emotionally, because now you're pulling at your heartstrings as opposed to paying attention to your financial plan and really living at your means. And then you just also want to make sure that you're building before you buy. So before you even go to get pre-approved, and yes, you can talk to somebody like myself, your legacy curator, or another lender, where you can review your full credit report and not just your score together. And we can show you exactly what we're going to be looking at and areas of concern. You can build or adjust a realistic budget based on today's life. I highly, highly, highly recommend having a budgeting plan. And if you need help with one, I do have an e-guide for budgeting. And then learn and prepare before applying for a mortgage, which is what you're doing right now. Sitting here on this Zoom, sitting here watching this back, you are preparing yourself before you even apply. Another concept I want to discuss with you guys is the 10%. This is where your mortgage becomes a legacy asset and not a risk. So roughly 10% of Americans, meaning the most wealthy, have a different philosophy when it comes to money. What they do is they start with the base of the pyramid, which is their protections, their insurance, to make sure that their money is always going to be growing and there for when they need. And then they also, you get your bank accounts together, your savings account, anything then you start looking at your qualified accounts like your 401ks, things that are growing, your retirement plans. And then they start looking into real estate, because sometimes real estate is a bit of a gamble. And also stocks, which is at the top of the pyramid, they're also a bit of a gamble. It's just a certain way to start looking at things, a certain order to start looking at things as you prepare on your financial journey. Now, what I want to ask you is, are you in the 90%? Now, for the 90%, as you can see, their pyramid is a bit upside down, where they start with the get money areas as opposed to how am I going to protect this for the long run. So they start with their stocks, they start with their real estate, and then they start looking into their retirement plan and making sure their bank accounts are right, and then their protection for everything. And so as you can see, this pyramid is a bit more unstable. The good news is that it's never too late to set your financial home the right way. It's never too late to start filling in these other areas so that your pyramid is a bit more balanced. Here are just some tools to help you build. As I mentioned, I have my budgeting e-guide, which includes a tracker to help you plan. I also have a homebuyer e-guide, which explains the full process step by step of buying your home, not just from the realtor side of things, but also from the lender side of things. With me being dual licensed, I'm able to fully explain to people from all angles of the transaction what they need to be prepared for. And then also there's the Keys to Maryland monthly lunch and learns to help keep you educated and informed. Again, I just want to say thank you guys for joining me right here on Zoom. We will be here every second Wednesday with a new topic to discuss, more market updates for you. So be sure to register for the upcoming events. These sessions are recorded, and so it will be released on the At That's So Shayna YouTube channel every fourth Wednesday. We're here at the top of the month. Join us on YouTube at the end of the month to see exactly what else is happening in the real estate market since the last time we met. Okay, guys, I'm looking forward to more sessions with y'all.